in any case, when it comes to the double standard, I know we've kind of been talking about some other things. When it comes to this double standard, the girl goes to the club, the guy goes to the club. Why is it a little different? So when people get into a relationship, they agree to be exclusive monogamous. And I think there is a societal understanding that both parties should not be actively pursuing, right? Here's the catch, though, related to all the questions I just asked you. Women don't really pursue. Now, you might have occasionally approached a guy, or you'll slide into like some famous TikTokers' DMs or something. But typically speaking, again, are there women who will approach a guy? Maybe you've done it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying on a balance of probabilities, more often than not, more likely, and I think it's probably closer to 90-95% of the time, men are the pursuers, women are the pursued. So because women really rarely or even never pursue, there is no societal standard that dictates when women get into relationships, they stop their behavior and conduct, which is the way that you guys advertise yourselves. So your way of maybe meeting a guy, whether you want to admit it or not, is through advertisement. Mm-hmm. You'll post a photo on Instagram. Maybe it's a revealing one. You'll go to the bar, the club. You might say, I don't go with the expressed intent, purpose of going to the bar or club to meet a guy, but you're putting yourselves in scenarios where it's likely to happen. Now, if you get approached at Trader Joe's, I don't think there's any issue there. But when you go to these very specific social venues where you know going in, okay, like there's gonna be guys who approach me. I do think it's interesting that we've clamped down on the way men flirt, which is, oh, it's clearly cheating if you're in a relationship and as a guy, I approach a girl and start flirting with her. Mm-hmm. But we don't really clamp down on the way, like the woman, like when a woman's single and the man's single, both of them are single, woman goes to a club, man goes to the club, man approaches woman, right? Well, we would acknowledge that for both of them, that would be cheating if either of them pursued. But women don't really do the pursuit. So you still conduct yourselves really as if you're single, even when you're in relationships. So you still go to the bar, you still go to the club. And so the reason men, as at least how some of you would put it, is controlling, the man is actually trying to exert the same boundary and restriction that has been placed on him. Because society doesn't dictate to women, oh, well, now that you're in a relationship, you should stop the way in which you flirt, which is not to be overt. You don't flirt overtly. You typically don't go up to the dudes. You don't slide into DMs. You let it come to you. And then you pick among the men who have already shown an interest in you. So I think it's a fair proposition that once you are in a monogamous relationship, the man clearly needs to shut down his methods by which he meets women, mm-hmm. which is pursuit. But there's no corresponding expectation that women shut down their means of meeting men, which is to put themselves in situations where men pursue them.
Men can go out without hitting on women. If they want to have a drink with the guys, they can go out and just hang out. They don't have to pursue anyone. And the women can go out and just enjoy time with their girls and just say, sorry, I'm in a relationship. I have a boyfriend.
Well, the difference is, as a guy, even if both people are single, as a guy, for the majority of men, if you go to a nightclub, bar, or party, and you're just there with your drink, whether you're with your friends or alone at the bar, there's no chicks are coming and talking to you. Mm-hmm. But if you're a girl, whether you're there alone or with your girlfriends, good probability chance that there is 1, 2, 3, maybe more guys that are going to come and talk to you. Yes. So there's a differential there. So yeah, the guy.
Well, and to add to that, like what Brian's saying, these are words that I've never heard from a man in my life. I'm going to go out dancing with the boys at the club. That's not a thing which I've never heard it once, ever. I've never heard any other male that I've ever associated with say, hey, what's up, man? Let's go out with the boys to the club so that we can dance. Never happened, ever. So what are those men doing there, do you think?
what do dudes
Drinking.
do when they go to the club by themselves
They go
in a
there to
relationship?
Yeah, they try and get women.
have sexual intercourse with you.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing at the club. What do you think they're doing at the fucking club?
So then, it's the same thing.
It is.
It's literally the same. So I'm confused. Like it's still, yes, a man shouldn't be going to the club and a woman shouldn't be going to the club in the relationship.
But
if
the
you think that
difference
they're
is, like,
flirting.
if you're observing the behavior, so if the man goes to the club and he continues his single behavior even though he's in a relationship, it's clearly cheating. But as women, your behavior when you're single and your behavior when you're in a relationship remains the exact same, because you aren't approaching. Guys are going to approach you. And look, I'm not saying that, like, you could reject every single dude that approaches you, but still you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be engaged with some dude. And then you got all your single friends there. Let's say you're out with your single girlfriends, they're entertaining dudes, and say it's like 3 girls and 3, like, a girl group of 3 and a male group of 3. Who's the other dude going to talk to? He's going to talk to you, right? Maybe you're, oh, I got a boyfriend. He's still talking to you.
Are we not
still
allowed to
making
talk
yourself
to the
available.
opposite sex?
Can I introduce?
I mean, if the guy's trying to fuck you, you probably shouldn't be like talking to him. Like, once that's been established, there's a degree of impropriety where it's disrespectful to the relationship to be talking to somebody who's trying to fuck you.
But then wouldn't that be every single male? Because don't men think with their penis?
Well, I disagree with that last part, but like, if a single guy is talking to you, like, a single guy could be talking to you and not have a romantic or sexual interest. But yeah, you're probably right insofar as if you're a betting person, they probably are interested in something.
I think it's, I mean, as a species, I think.
It's a species. Where's this going? Okay. Go ahead.
I think everybody has thoughts about sex. Some of them are not controllable, right? I think I don't think that it's right to say that you shouldn't talk to somebody of the opposite sex just because when you're speaking they might have a sexual thought.
Can I interject?
Sure. You go first, then you, and then you wanted something, or are you good?
I feel like even talking to that person in the first place is kind of giving that energy, and even if you don't have like the, I guess, plans to cheat or interest to cheat, it kind of opens the door for that when you're even like giving that opportunity to even arise in the first place. So I view it as a problem, honestly.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I'm just going to kind of bring it to a marriage standpoint. That's what I do for work. So that's what I'm going to talk about from instead of even dating, because I think dating is just a holding place for what we should be doing, and that's getting married. But I digress. With that, when you look at affairs that happen, very few affairs start with just physical. It's typically an emotional affair that begins. And so anytime that you're having a conversation with the opposite sex, what is that conversation about? Again, like, I would go to the point of intention, but like any sort of intentional conversation, I'm not saying go ask for directions to the local In-N-Out or, you know, hey, can you help me pick up this bottle of water or whatever else. But like any conversation that is going on, I don't think it should be happening between men and women when you guys are in a committed relationship, because what is the point of that? If you're not trying to get into, I mean, you don't just talk to somebody for like shits and gigs without like truly wanting to be their friend or have an emotional connection with them. Like, you want to be able to develop something more with them, even if it's just a friendship.
What's wrong with having friends of the opposite sex, though?
It just opens the door to the potential of something happening, because why be close with somebody if it's not going to lead to something further type thing?
Because we're humans.
I know, but I think that that's where we're built to have female friendships as females and male friendships as males. I think if you're kind of crossing those lines, it's going to potentially, inevitably lead to something more. And it depends. I mean,
No,
like,
for
truly,
sure.
if you're single, by all means, have all of the connections in the world with all the men, because that might lead to an emotional connection that goes further.
Sure.
But I think when you're in a committed relationship or a marriage, that shouldn't be something where you're just texting a dude or calling him late at night. Like, that seems like a boundary that's being... No, for sure. But like, that is where those doors begin to open.
Or venting about your relationship
Correct.
to a male
No,
friend.
of course.
I think that's where a lot of
Didn't
affairs
you just say that men think with their penis? Isn't that
Yeah.
what you just said?
Yeah.
So you say men think with their penis. Why can't I have guy friends? That's a very strange reconciliation that you now need to make, right?
But I also said that in general, people, I mean, we all have random thoughts about sex. It happens. Like, it's just
Right.
in our DNA, right? Like,
Yeah,
so females have it
but
too.
to act on a thing requires thinking of the thing to begin with. So if you're a man, and by your metric, thinking with your penis, right? In order to act that thing that you're thinking about out, you have to think of it first, right? You can't act a thing out that you don't think about. So if in your head men are thinking about sex, right? Well, then that would be the first step to acting on sex, right?
Not necessarily. Just because I have thoughts about sex doesn't mean I'm going to act on it.
Yeah, right. But can you act on sex if you don't think about it? I don't think you can.
But I just think that maybe I'm just like too chill, right? Maybe I'm just too chill. But I trust until you give me a reason not to trust. I don't think it's right for somebody to say you're not allowed to have female friends, you're not allowed to have male friends, but that's just my perspective.
Do you
right?
mind if I challenge this real quick? And
Sure.
We'll just see if that's actually true. So, can I just ask you, do you have any phobias? Like a fear of spiders, things like that,
I
perhaps?
don't like airplanes.
Yeah, you don't like airplanes.
I don't
right?
like flying. I really don't. No.
What else? What else do you have that's a phobia?
That's it.
No, there's no like if you see a spider, you don't go, oh my god. Yeah, same thing with insects.
Yeah, sure, but I'm not
nothing
that.
like
I think a phobia is a lot heavier than having like a standard fear, because I think majority of people.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you may, when I say phobia, I'm just saying behave irrationally towards a thing that normally would
Airplanes.
warrant some sort of-
Flying. Flying for me.
Flying, okay.
Don't like flying.
Don't you have the reasonable expectation that your partner, if you had to get on an airplane and was with you, would comfort you through this irrational fear that you had?
Sure.
Yeah, so then if that's the case, I don't understand why you would put that on him, since it's irrational. It's actually irrational on your behalf, and yet you're putting that on them. And yet here, if your partner has perhaps an irrational fear that you may do something nefarious, even if it's not rational, right? It's just in their head, right? Why wouldn't you give them that same comfort?
I think you can give the same comfort without separating this, like creating this idea that you can only have friends of the same sex.
How do you make the determination of how you comfort somebody else? They're going to make the determination of how they're comforted, right?
I think-
like you can't go over and say, well, I know that it doesn't make you feel any better that I'm telling you, hey, shut up, the airplane's not going to hurt you, right? But I really
How do you
don't
know?
feel very
No, I'm kidding.
comforted by that. I don't feel very comforted by that, Andrew, when you just said, shut up, the airplane's not going to hurt you.
Okay, so let me
right?
put this into perspective for you. So, do I have a phobia of airplanes? Yes. Do I usually cry on takeoff? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I still do it. I still push through it. I still fly. I've been to 24 countries. I don't let that hold me back in life. And I feel like with any fear or phobia on whatever the topic, you have to work through that. Now, whether that's, you know, working through your own inner demons when it comes to relationships, having conversations, setting up, okay, like you go out, I go out, but like, how do we make this comfortable for both of us? I don't think
Yeah, but
it's...
you would agree that some irrational fears are not really a big deal and some of them are. Right?
No, I would
Some
never
irrational
tell
fears
somebody
are.
that their fear of whatever I would never tell somebody that their fear is not valid.
Right.
Final thought
So
on
then
this?
the thing is like if you have a spider, if you're a woman who's terrified, raise your hands if you freak out when there's a spider. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I have a fear,
Yeah.
but I'm not like...
Yeah. And you go, oh my God. And then a guy comes by and he just takes his hand. So this is what I always do, right? It's just, and then the spider's dead. I don't even think
Well,
about
shit.
it. All right.
Okay.
And then off I walk. I don't even think about it. But for women, they freak out about it, right? It seems very irrational to me. And yet, or how about this one? Any of you ever woke up next to a guy that you're with, who you've been with long term, and perhaps woke him up out of a dead sleep because you had a bad dream that included him in it?
Yes.
Anyone? Go ahead, hands up. Let's see you. Let's see you. Stop coping. Stop coping. I know you. So the thing is like all of that is totally irrational, and yet it's like, but comfort me. The reason you're waking him up is because you want to be comforted from whatever this irrational fear is that you have. But for some reason, Brian's introducing a rational fear that you could assuage from the person. It's an actual rational, completely reasonable fear. And yet, even then, you're resistant to it if you have an irrational fear, you expect to be comforted for it. So doesn't that seem kind of silly in a way?
No, I think having conversations doesn't make it silly. I mean, first of all, I would never date somebody who ever told me that I can't talk to other males or have male friends, and I would never tell my partner that, but that's just me. I think every person is different. Every person holds different boundaries and values, and I'm not going to, it's just my hot take for my life, right?
Well, last thing, real quick, before Brian moves on, I know that we have a lot of people here, so I just say one more thing on this. So you said that this is for chair 3, you said that, hey, you let your boyfriend go out to the strip club, right? And so, like, it seems fair that he would let you go out, right?
Yeah,
but I've seen this sneaky thing, right? That women understand that they'll be pursued, whereas men will not. And so they'll actually allow that to happen, thinking 2 steps ahead that, well, nothing's going to happen with him. And that then gives me permission to go out to do the nefarious thing.
Yeah, and I also, after that whole day, like, I didn't ever go out. So it's like, I guess I kind of tested my luck, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go out, and it was an immediate fight, and then I never went out. So I listened to him.
Chris donated $200.